Sometimes our colleagues will say, we have three co-equal branches. Really? First of all, co-equal is not even a word, okay? Secondly, if we're co-equal, why is it that Congress has the power to impeach, try, and convict a president and remove a president, but the president doesn't have the power to impeach, try, convict, and remove us? The framers, the founders, were most seriously afraid of a president who would act like a mad king, drunk on power, avaricious and determined to take all other powers unto himself. Madison, in the Federalist Papers, defined tyranny as the collapse of all powers, legislative, executive, and judicial, into one power. That was the very definition of it. Well, Section 2 names the president commander-in-chief, not of the country, not of the government, but of the Army and Navy and the militias in times of actual service. So what is the core job of the president? The core job of the president is to take care that the laws are faithfully executed. In other words, take the laws that have been passed by the House, by the Senate, signed into law by the president, and execute them, implement them. The president gets his powers only from two places, the Constitution says, and the Supreme Court has repeatedly reaffirmed. The president gets his power either directly from the Constitution or directly from a grant of Congress. And that's it. That's the whole meaning of the Supreme Court's decision in the Steele seizure case in 1952. There are no other powers that the president gets just by virtue of being the commander-in-chief or being the president. Well, Article 3 vests all judicial power in the Supreme Court and inferior courts to clarify legal rights and responsibilities in actual cases and controversies. As the court put it in 1803 in Marbury versus Madison, it's emphatically the province and the duty of the judicial department to say what the law is. No, Vice President Vance, it's not up to the president to define what the limits are on the power of the president. That's up to the Supreme Court. That's the whole meaning of judicial review in Marbury versus Madison. As Senator Durbin says, we must defend the independence and the integrity and the security of the judicial branch of government. And when 4 federal judges, 2 of them appointed by Democrats, 2 of them appointed by Republicans, struck down Donald Trump's executive order purporting to nullify birthright citizenship under the Constitution, a number of our colleagues in the House began to call for the impeachment of these judges without explaining what they had done wrong, without explaining any fallacy in their analysis, just calling for their impeachment. There have only been 15 federal judges impeached in all of American history by the Congress of the United States. And it's always for corruption or bribery or income tax evasion. It's for actually engaging in a crime, a high crime or misdemeanor, not because the Congress disagrees with their analysis, much less because Congress disagrees with their correct analysis of a legal problem. It's never happened before. The Bill of Rights was added to protect the rights and freedoms of the people against abuse by the government, whether it's a Congress passing laws that infringe on liberty, or a president making up laws, usurping congressional powers, or violating constitutional rights, or indeed states trespassing the rights of the people. Now, here's the amazing thing. The framers understood, like Lord Acton, that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so they arranged a constitutional system where power would be vertically divided, shared and distributed between the federal government and the states and localities, as well as horizontally distributed among the legislative, executive, and judicial branches of government. And the branches would check one another's abusive ambitions, and the people would exercise their freedoms of speech, press, assembly, petition of government, and so on to counterbalance the tyrannical propensities of government generally. We're in a dramatic constitutional confrontation today where every facet of the framers' design has been activated to try and save constitutional democracy and freedom. From the day he took office, Trump has tried to exercise powers like a king, trampling the rights of the people, usurping the powers of Congress, denouncing judges and threatening to defy the rulings of courts, and violating the legitimate authority of states and their elected officials. Last Saturday, June 14th, which was Flag Day, and the president's birthday, he chose to stage a $45 million military parade in the streets of Washington. In response, at least 7 million anti-monarchical Americans assembled in over 2,000 protests in cities and towns across America for the unveiling of No King's Day, a magnificent demonstration of the inextinguishable resiliency of popular constitutional democracy in the face of dictatorial designs against the people. But the people marching in the streets from Philadelphia to Los Angeles, from the boundary waters of Minnesota to New Orleans, are not alone in this process. They reflect a powerful constitutional opposition in motion. Political leaders at the state level are fighting back in court along with their allies in Congress, and we are winning this fight every day in courtrooms across America. More than 328 lawsuits have been filed since Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, and Elon Musk took office, and federal courts across the land have remarkably issued 197 preliminary injunctions or temporary restraining orders against this reign of lawlessness. The witnesses before us today, the attorney generals for the people of Massachusetts, Minnesota, New Jersey, and Illinois, are leaders in the fight for the Constitution and federal laws that have been abandoned by the president. And these chief state lawyers are winning significant battles in front of judges appointed by both Republican presidents and Democratic presidents. They are even winning in courts where judges preside who were appointed by President Trump himself. State attorneys general have brought at least 30 lawsuits against the new administration, successfully blocking many of its most reckless and lawless actions. They challenged Trump's efforts to nullify birthright citizenship and won injunctions to stop the order. They challenged Trump's funding freeze and won a court order forcing Trump to lift the freeze and deliver the funds to state and local programs. And when Trump didn't pay up, they went back to court to make him comply. They challenged DOJ's unconstitutional gathering of private data on millions of Americans, and just a few weeks ago won a ruling that will allow the suit to move forward. They sued when the administration tried to claw back billions of dollars in public health money and won an injunction against the rescission so that these funds would be delivered to the people of the states and localities. They sued to stop Trump's policies to dismantle voting rights and won a temporary injunction against major portions of his order requiring every citizen in America to prove their citizenship every time they go to vote. Trump's push against the rights of the people is losing in court, with judges striking down unconstitutional orders and issuing scathing rebukes to his lawlessness. Judge John Kuhnor said of the Trump's birthright citizenship order, "I've been on the bench for over 4 decades. I can't remember another case where the question presented was as clear as this." He went on to ask, where were the lawyers when the decision was made to sign this executive order, and said that it boggled his mind that any member of the bar would contend the order was constitutional. This is a judge who was appointed by Ronald Reagan to the bench. Congressional Democrats have joined the state attorney generals in this fight. Although we're limited in what we can bring ourselves by virtue of very restrictive legal standing doctrines against members of Congress suing the president, we have filed detailed amicus briefs in support of the state attorney general suits, identifying our unique interests and unyielding determination to defend federal laws we have passed against executive usurpation. Of course, we have won some and we've lost some, and we would expect nothing less under the rule of law. But we will defend the rule of law. We will not be intimidated by Trump's threats and authoritarian tactics. Those of us who aspire to and attain to public office are nothing but the servants of the people, and the people are sovereign, and we all serve in the interest of the people. To every state AG who is with us today, and to those who are not here but are in this battle also for the rule of law, I say on behalf of all of our colleagues, it's an honor to be in this fight with you. Congressional Democrats are proud to stand with you in this fight to protect our Constitution, its values, and the rights of our people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.